Hello and welcome. My name is Sebastian. I'm going to be your instructor for today. In this lesson, I will be teaching you how I wax my snowboard and skis. I'll be starting with the board. Now, the first step to a properly waxed board is making sure the base is nice and clean. You can use base cleaner if you want to go for the official products, or just general surface cleaner hasn't caused me any problems just yet. Okay, what we're going to be doing, spraying some on, nice and lathered. Okay, piece of kitchen towel. Don't want to wipe it off just yet, we'll want to be wiping it in for now. Get that nice and rubbed in so it's able to soak into all the pores and clean out the grime. Okay, then go back over, put a bit more surface cleaner on. And get it nice and rubbed in. Okay, now I'm going to leave that for a couple of minutes to do its magic, and then we'll come back and get it wiped off. Right then, now that our surface cleaner has some time to soak in, we're going to get it wiped off, get it nice and clean. Okay, I want to use a fresh piece of kitchen towel for this one, don't want to be getting any grime off from the last one. Okay, nice good scrub down, try and get as much dirt out of the base as possible. Now then, chances are, once you've done a bit of riding, if you've got a white base such as mine, it's going to be a bit dirty and it's going to stay in that way. There's not a great deal you can do about that, other than starting to use some more harsh chemicals. So we're going to move on. Okay? When it comes to picking your wax, there's all sorts of different stuff out there. Okay? I just generally use all temperature, all purpose wax. If you want to get really technical with it, it's going to help improve your riding maybe just a little bit, go faster. If that's what you're looking for, you can look into that. Okay, now when you're using your iron, there's a few different ways people do it. The one that I go for, I'm spreading out the wax, pouring it all over, and then rubbing it in. Okay, now you want to be careful with these, obviously, they're very hot. You can burn yourself. No, that's not it. Okay. Now you will find wax will probably spread further than you think. I know that I've definitely reduced the amount of wax that I use since I first started waxing my own kit. And then, now the wax is on, we can start to rub it in, get it melted, and get it nice and spread out. Right then, now that we've got the wax evenly spread, I like to go over it just once more time to make sure it's all melted properly in and all sunk into the pores. Right then. Now the wax is on, a couple of things to go over just while I do a bit of waiting. When you are setting up your waxing iron, it is super important that you get the temperature right on the dial. Okay? Different waxes have different temperature ranges to use. If your waxing iron is too hot, then it's going to burn your wax. You'll know that's happening because it'll be starting to smoke. You don't want that because that can cause damage to your wax and to your board. Another super important part. If you leave your waxing iron sat on your board or skis for too long, it will start to cause delamination. Now what that is the heat will go through the board and it'll start to separate the layers. Right then, now the wax is all on, we're going to leave it for a few hours, or as long as you really feel the need to, and then we'll come back, get it all scraped off. Right then, now that we've got the wax on the snowboard, I'm going to move on to doing my skis. Now there's a little bit of a difference with skis, because obviously we've got the brakes that are sticking up. we want to make sure we've got those pinned down. There's a few different ways of doing this. A lot of people use a big rubber band. I personally use this bungee cord. Okay, the way that's going to work, looping it around on the inside of the brakes, coming down, get it pulled in nice and tight, and then I can hook them back onto themselves, and it's nice and out of the way. Okay, everything else, same process of what I've already gone through. Getting the base nice and clean first, getting that rubbed in, going to give it a few minutes to get nice and soaked in. In the meantime, I'll get the oil on the same side, same on the other ski, and then we'll come back and get them waxed. Okay then, now it's been a few minutes. I'm going to get these wiped down, get it nice and dry. Super important it's nice and dry, so otherwise your wax won't set in properly. Now, it is at this point that if you've got any gashes in your skis or boards, you might want to use P-Tex to fill them in. I currently don't, but if I do get any later on in the season, I'll make a video about that one. Okay, so getting that wax back out, we're going to spread it onto the skis. These are going to take a little bit less wax than a snowboard, as obviously there's less surface area. There we go. Now we can do the same on the other ski. Now that all my skis and board have got the wax on, I'm going to leave it for a few hours before I come back, get it all scraped off, get them nice and tidy, ready for the season. Okay, now that some time has passed, we're ready to start scraping the wax off our board and skis. Before that, I'd like to mention a couple of things about the equipment needed for this stage. At a minimum, you will need a plastic scraper and a nylon brush. Okay. Some kits will come with extra stuff you may find, such as a buffing pad or even a metal scraper. Now, these are not what you want to be using for scraping wax. Metal scrapers are only for removing P-Tex, as they can damage the base of your skis and or board. Right then, getting into it. Firstly, oftentimes you will find a notch cut out of your plastic scraper. What that's for is for going around the edge and taking off excess wax from your metal edges of your equipment. Okay, so I'm going to go around and go through that first. Okay, now as you can see, this is going to be a messy process, so I would recommend having a vacuum to hand, such as this handheld one here, so you can tidy up as you go. Otherwise, there's a lot of mess at the end. Right then, when it comes to scraping your skis, obviously there's a lot of room to either side. It can tip up, so you've got to be careful that as you're putting pressure on one end, you're not going to flip it up at the other side. Okay. Right, now then, I'm going to get this other ski done. I'm not going to show that on video. It's not something you need to see. Obviously, it's the same as the other one, but I'll be moving on to the snowboard shortly. Okay. With both skis now completed, it's time to move on to scraping my snowboard. Now, obviously, quite a large surface area on a snowboard. They do take a bit longer to scrape in general. It's just part of it. Right, let's begin. Right then, that is one board and two skis, all scraped and ready to go. I guess now, all there is to say is thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you for the next lesson. Thank you very much.